Phasmophobia is nearing 5 years old. A lot of things have changed, some things even being removed entirely. In today's video, we're going to go over 15 things that have been removed from Phasmophobia. These are going to be a mix of things that were either removed from the game, significantly changed, or things like map ideas that were never worked on or implemented. Some of these things were removed before the game was released, while others were in the game at some point. Thank you to the person who suggested this, and if you want to see other video ideas, feel free to leave a comment below. This first item was entirely removed. Well, kind of. The infrared light sensor. This item was very strange, as at the time, this item would light up when something would walk past. However, it didn't relay any information back to the truck. The motion sensor did not have any in-person indication, but would relay information back to the truck. Later on, these two items were merged, and the motion sensor functions how it does today. It would be cool if they brought this item back, maybe give it some different functionality. Like I said before, some of these things haven't been removed, but it was changed significantly enough, I feel like I have to mention it. The fingerprints evidence. This was changed to ultraviolet, but fingerprints used to be, well, just fingerprints. Ghosts used to always leave UV footprints behind regardless of evidence. In its early stages, it also used to only appear on doors. Shortly after launch, they could appear on windows, and for almost 2 full years, UV fingerprints could appear on prison keyboards before they were added to the rest of the maps. This next one I hope is something brought back in the future. There were 3 map ideas that were scrapped. They weren't being worked on, but they were featured on the website for quite some time. The maps were apartment building, a mansion, and a sewer map. I suppose the new Bleasdale is sort of a mansion, but I think a small motel or sewer map would be really cool. Speaking of old concepts that got scrapped, there used to be entirely different evidence pieces. These are all listed on the wiki, and some of these are confirmed to be verified, while others I'm not too sure. Bile, which was later changed to ghost particles and is now known as ghost orbs. Blood, which was replaced with EMF 5. Bugs, which were replaced with different varying evidence pieces. Dirty water, which was replaced with ghost writing, and obviously this is still in the game but not an evidence piece. Ectoplasm, which was replaced with spirit box. Handprints, which used to be on walls, later was changed to fingerprints and is now ultraviolet. And wall scratches. It'd be cool to see some of these return as a ghost event, or maybe even something for Horror 2.0. The next big change was the lobby. The old lobby had a lot of nice charm, and I wish we could revisit it. Things like a creepy ghost figure standing in the rafters watching the player, or walking up to a cracked door only to be jump scared by a ghost. I do miss stacking up all those paint cans, trying to see how high our tower could get. I know a lot of people have complaints about how our characters can only sprint for a few seconds, but one thing I'm glad was changed was the old sprint, or I don't even know if you can call it that. I'm not sure how much faster you could move, maybe 1 or 2%, but it was unnoticeable. At the time, a conventional sprint wasn't really needed, as players could outrun the ghosts and there wasn't line of sight speed up. I guess it would be nice for convenience. Imagine having to play a large map without the ability to sprint. Possession actually used to be a mechanic in the game, well, sort of. There was an old ghost event that was briefly in the game. It would mimic a possessed player that would walk towards you, copying a player model with a weird variant. I found a few photos online, but I couldn't find any videos showcasing this. This was removed as it wasn't scary enough, but I kinda wish this was still in the game. This wouldn't be a cut content video without mentioning the old Asylum. If you're a newer player, you might not know that Sunny Meadows is a reimagined version of an old map that was removed from the game. The map was infamous for how large it was. It had a total of 111 possible ghost rooms. Yes, really. Another huge problem was the lack of items the ghosts could interact with. The map was overwhelming to say the least. I kinda miss playing it every once in a while, but I do love Sunny Meadows. A big change that I like was that basement and garage doors used to require keys to open. Similar to Maple Lodge, how you need the key under the welcome mat to enter the lodge, this feature was removed for other maps before the game launched. I see why they removed this, as it seemed pretty redundant, but it could be a cool feature for some upcoming maps. Another infamous change about old Phasmophobia was the mission selection. It would select 3 to 5 random maps with random difficulties as well. If you didn't like what you got, you'd have to leave and set up a whole new lobby. After a while, they updated it to where you can control the difficulty, but this odd map selection was actually in the game for over a year. It was finally changed once the nightmare difficulty was added. I know the current training isn't that great, but the old tutorial was pretty bad. It was a modified amateur contract on Tanglewood. There was a slideshow on the TV explaining the different evidence. It would be a randomly selected ghost, and it didn't show you how to collect evidence that the ghost didn't have. One small feature that was removed in early development was having to find the ghost's name. You'd have to look for the name on the actual map. I couldn't find too much information about this, so I'm not sure how this affected the gameplay, but the Nancy name in the nursery and the Thomas name on the login screen for computers were Easter eggs for this. Next, we have some pretty unique ghost abilities. The Djinn actually used to be able to affect the weather. Then it had its ability changed to a unique line of sight speed during hunts that was dependent on the player's movement. Then it was changed again to its current ability. The mare had a very unique ability to cause hallucinations, which would drop the player's sanity. Toggling your flashlight would stop this hallucination. Honestly, I'm not sure why this was removed from the game, as this ability would still fit for the mare, or even something like the Yurei. Maybe it could be a rare but unique ghost event, with only a small amount of ghosts being able to do it. My vote would be Yurei, Yokai, mare, and spirit. Switching gears, there used to be some pretty overpowered hiding spots. For quite a long time, it was possible to hide behind a door and be completely safe during hunts. Doors would block the line of sight with the ghost, and if done correctly, you would pretty much be invincible. I used to love these spots, but I admit they're pretty overpowered, and I'm glad they made the move to add actual hiding spots beyond just closets and lockers. Now this last one isn't too specific, but I just had to mention the old charm. Now I do like the direction the game has gone, but it's clear this game felt very different even just a few years ago. It had a slower style, almost like a vintage feel to it. The blue tinted glow in the truck, the lighting, and overall feel was just so unique. The way the flashlight beam would pierce through the dark, or other things like the very exaggerated bloom. I'll be bold and say this old style made the game a little more scary. I obviously like how this game looks and feels now, but that old style just has a strange appeal about it that I can't really pinpoint. Anyway, there's 15 things that were removed or changed in Phasmophobia. Let me know in the comments of anything you missed from old Phasmophobia, and thank you so much for watching. Good luck on your investigations, ghost hunters.